the game, cause see the boxing voice.
You're listening to Mario's Throwdown Fantasy Minute, giving you the winning strategy and tactical advice for your fantasy boxing team, making the points that earn you the points, preparing you for the big games that earn you big cash prizes, giving you the guarantees, sleepers, and buyer bewares. This segment is brought to you by ThrowdownFantasy.com, the only boxing-oriented fantasy game on the market dedicated to real fight fans with real know.
Welcome to another edition of Mario's Throwdown Fantasy Minute. And today we are talking about Kovalev Pascal contest being offered right now at throwdownfantasy.com. You can go to throwdownfantasy.com, sign up for free, and enter the $2 challenge. That's the fee that it costs to get into the contest for Kovalev Pascal. Or you can enter the $10 contest. Okay, and the prize for the $10 contest is $1,000. Okay, and of course, like always, you sign up, play for free, and you can still win cash prizes. So my job is to get you prepared for your team, how to draft, all the tips that you're going to need, and the info that you're going to need as you prepare to draft. And remember, you can enter these contests as many times as you need, as many times as you want, as many times as you can, and hurry and get there, because starting Saturday, the contest will be locked. So the contest starts this Saturday, and you're going to need to get there as quickly as possible to sign up. Now, I want to start with the two most expensive fighters on the market. In the contest this week, you have George Groves. And George Groves is a fighter who is coming in, and he's got a relatively easy contest against Andre De Luisa. This isn't offering a big matchup for George Groves, and that's why he's going at 5,800. Okay, right now he's scoring 61.9 fantasy points per fight. All right, he's landing 145 punches, and he's throwing 486 punches. George Groves, in my opinion, is not worth 5,800 in this position. I just can't see, for a guy who's had some, rough outings as of late, being worth that much. I will say that another guy who is equally as expensive in Erickson Lubin, who is going at 5,800, is worth it, in my opinion, to draft if you want to draft him as your first round. Now, Erickson Lubin is a guy who's been on a tear. He's a young prospect, obviously, but the thing about it is he stayed very, very busy. Right now, he's scoring you 96.7 fantasy points. He's throwing 100 punches, or he's landing 100 punches per fight, and he's throwing 256. That might not seem like a lot, but he is getting his guys out early. That is the reason why those numbers seem a little short-sighted. Now, I will tell you that Lubin is on a 4 KO win streak. He's got a 77% KO percentage ratio right now, and one of those KOs in that 4 KO win streak is over Orlando Lara, who a lot of people have not been able to take out, including Keith Thurman. And so Lubin was able to do it. He is the goods. He does have some really great power, and against a guy like Jose Macias, who is also the cheapest option this week, I think he is going to have absolutely no problem in being worth every single cent of that 5,800. Now, moving on to what I'm going to call my guarantee pick of the week. All right. My guarantee pick of the week is a little different because he's more of a guarantee, as in I guarantee you that he's going to end up on all your teams. And that man is Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Kovalev is coming in at 5,200. He's scoring you 87.4 fantasy points. He's throwing 272 punches and landing 92.5 of them. Okay, so Sergey Kovalev, who we all know is fighting Jean Pascal in a rematch. Now, in the first fight, Sergey Kovalev beat Jean Pascal in the 8th round by TKO. Okay, but it was a really good fight. It was fairly competitive for a while. Jean Pascal, due to his competitive nature in that fight, is being, he's worth 5,500 for this fight. which seems a little high for me. I mean, actually a lot high. I think Kovalev would have to be the favorite in this fight still, even though they are fighting in Canada. But for me, Kovalev with his 86 KO percent rate, and the fact that he's got 11 stoppages in his past 12 fights, I mean, there's no way you cannot pick Kovalev at 5,200. That's a cheap rate for him. I'm going to suggest him, and I think that no matter how many teams you pick, he's got to end up on almost every single one of them. So moving on, I'm going to go to my bust. Now, he's not a bust in the sense that I think he's going to perform poorly, but I think Julian Ramirez, who is being offered in this fight, in his fight with the I don't want to call him rugged or anything like that, but Christopher Martin isn't that bad of an opponent, you know, and he's coming in at 4,600, which is close to Julian Ramirez's 5,100. So you look at Martin as an opponent, okay, even though has 6 losses, he's only been stopped once, and that was against Miguel Mariaga, who we all know to have heavy hands. And in his time, Christopher Martin has survived fights with Russell Jr. and Orlandito de Valle, who he lost both those fights, but he survived and they went the distance. So, you know, Julian Ramirez is worth 5,100. He's scoring 67.5 fantasy points on average, throwing 432, landing 158. Look, those are good numbers. Those are solid numbers, especially for 5,100. But there is value out there this week. Julian Ramirez is a guy that I would likely stay away from in most cases. I don't know if he can take out Christopher Martin. And, you know, if he doesn't, then you would have been much better off going with some guys that are relatively around that same sort of price range. So we got through the guarantee. You got through the bust. Now I'm going to give you my sleeper pick for the week. My sleeper pick isn't really a sleeper pick per se, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to differentiate between what he will do and what he won't do. But my sleeper pick is going to be Kareem Mayfield. Now, I have no illusions of Kareem Mayfield winning this fight. That being said, you know, he is in a tough fight. He, I think, has enough in him to produce the amount of points you'd need for what he's costing. So he's only worth 4,400. If you're in a position where you have very little left, but you can afford somebody like Kareem Mayfield, take Kareem Mayfield. You know, he's the best option of all the cheapest options, okay? And so I'm talking about your last pick. You know, absolutely no room left on the board. You went to, you know, all the top, most expensive guys, and he's left. He's going to be the guy that you want to get. So at this point, Kareem Mayfield's a great pick, but I wouldn't discount Dmitry Milikinenko. He is scoring 97 points per fight. He's throwing 872 punches, and he's landing 336. He's a guy that I would easily have on my team. So, you know, you could have both of these guys on your team, and I think you'd be okay. The only thing that worries me about Dmitry is his KO rate. So those are my picks for the week. Good luck in your picks. If you have any questions, any concerns, you can hit my Twitter up at Mario Munguia, and I will answer all your Throwdown Fantasy questions.